Oh, give me a second. I was.
We are live.
Mm.
Black Box Radio. You guys don't even know how hard this was because we're having some technical difficulties. But as Black people, we never, ever, ever, ever stop. We just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. So that's what I'm trying to do right now is to keep this going. So I want to say this is Black Box Radio. We're gonna be happy. This is the BMore BLaK Series, and we are in our this is our I think my seventh day. This is the seventh day. This is going to be my seventh and my eighth voice. We got one more day of this series. We started this series. It's an intentional series to highlight the greatness in Baltimore. So Be More BLaK Series is commemorating Black History Month, which is a national holiday right now. But we know there's no history in the world, in this country, without Black history. So
Right.
yeah, so it is very intentional to have this type of series tonight. So guys, I'm having problems with my mouse. I don't know what's going on. Nothing's working like I want it to work. But guess what? We're gonna do this thing. And so I have one of my voices with me, Baba IshaKa. We're trying to get Baba James on. But my name is Queen. I'm a host at Black Box Radio. We are a media platform for Black excellence. We disseminate information to the Black community. We platform Black people, and we talk about Black genius. We just do the dang thing. So tonight we have two of my babas, and they are from the Park Five Drummers. I'm going to let them tell you about that per se, but we're going to first talk a little about the history of Baltimore. So we're trying to get Baba James on. That's my goal. I don't see him yet, but we're trying to get him on. But Baba IshaKa, can you just introduce yourself, tell the people who you are, and kind of give us a little backstory on you?
Okay. Well, first of all, we want to thank the Most High for getting us up today and bringing us out here to do this. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And peace and blessings to you, Brother James, and the listening audience.
Mm-hmm.
And my name is Baba E. Shakara Hannibal L. And I'm a Baltimore native, born and bred in Baltimore. And as the saying goes, Baltimore born, Baltimore bred. When I die, be Baltimore dead. and
Oh,
that,
say that
and
again. I like that.
that, that that's not an original piece. I got that from somebody.
That was a good one. What was that? Say that again.
Say Baltimore born, Baltimore bred. When I die, be Baltimore dead.
I know that's right. I
But
love that. Go
I
ahead.
wonder, can James, can you talk, James? Or I don't know if he's just not in there
No,
at
I
all.
don't. Yeah, he's off again, but we're gonna try to get him on. Just
Okay.
tell us who you are, like
Well,
your backstory, and you a little bit. Talk about yourself a little.
I'm from East Baltimore, and I grew up in a pretty nice neighborhood. We didn't have a lot. I mean, I grew up in the time. I'm 60. I'll be 65 in September. But just for some young people on here, when I grew up, we used to listen to Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier and all the boxers on the radio. We wasn't no cable TV and all that kind of thing. We listened to the fights on the radio.
Oh wow.
And not everybody had a car on their block. Not everybody had a radio and a TV. And if they had a TV, we was looking at black and white TV, you know. And my neighborhood was pretty much, I'm gonna say, a lower middle class because the we didn't have people that could take vacations out the country. They might go south of the border somewhere and go visit family out of town, but we weren't poor enough to be on welfare, and we wasn't rich enough to go take cruises, you know. But we didn't do without. The gas and electric was always on, and the water was always on. Two-parent households. It probably was at least 10 family names I could rattle right off that I know. Mr. and Mrs. So and so, this family, the Dents, the Lawsons, the Richardsons, Robertsons, McClary, Davisons. These it was two parents. In most houses. A lot of the mothers, like my mother, was off and on. working mother. She would work part-time in the school system like a teacher's aide, but she didn't have to. My father worked, and as my brother and I only had one brother, we got older, then my mother would go to work. But when we were young, she was always home. In
Okay.
elementary school, she was home. I walked to elementary school was like 5 blocks from where I lived at, and it was at it was 101 Elementary School, and it was named after a black guy, Elmer A. Henderson. And Elmer A. Henderson was the first black person in Baltimore to be the assistant school superintendent.
Hmm.
And I found out later on in life, I didn't know it when I was going there, but everybody in the school was black except like 3 students were from, I guess somebody was in the army or something and had married a German woman, but they were like German. They looked white. They were white looking, but they was like, there's only 3 of them in the whole school. From
Wow.
the janitor to the principal, Mr. Williams, everybody was black all the way up to the 6th grade.
Oh my goodness. Let me ask you about that phone. Is your phone on something because it keeps moving?
That's me trying to stay focused here.
Yeah, this
I
just
got it right here. I got to hold it right there.
yeah, just keep it down. Yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. So because you keep moving, I'm trying to find you over there. But yeah, you're looking good now. Stay right there. So that's different. That's why Baltimore is such an amazing city, because there's plenty of people can say they went to school with only black children. You know, that didn't happen for me. I went to school, and actually when I went down south, it was 80% white.
Right,
Yeah, 80% white. And so I came here to go to Morgan, which you know about that. That's black up.
right,
But
right.
Baltimore in middle school, elementary school, I've heard so many people say that their whole school was black. That is unique
Yeah, well,
to certain
it,
cities. That's not everywhere, I promise you.
it's crazy because I mean, when you look at the records, Baltimore, Baltimore is been a unique town forever since its conception. There's always a whole list of first and famous people from all races came out of Baltimore. Baltimore first this, first that, just a long list. But
Mm-hmm.
prior to the Civil War, Baltimore was the most black populated city in the country, and
Wow.
that's free and enslaved people. It
Ah,
had a it had the largest population of black people, free and enslaved people. And
wow.
in a lot of cases, like with Frederick Douglass and people like that, Frederick Douglass worked it right along with black people. I don't remember the guy's name, but it was a black person in Frederick Douglass' time that had a shipbuilding type. They made sails and did some other things on the ships, the same kind of work that Frederick Douglass did.
Oh,
There he is. There he is.
Y'all
Yeah,
know I've been here pulling straws out my hair and stuff, right?
yeah, we live, we live, we live.
there he
So
is.
yeah, so Baba James, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So we kind of Baba Shaka is kind of talking about Baltimore and the history of Baltimore, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really what we talk about. I'm gonna tell you guys something. What I saw today, I went out. We talked this morning, the 3 of us. We were giggling on the phone. We're gonna tell
Right.
the people, and you guys had me laughing. And we were talking about, you were talking about history. You were saying how it was when Dr. King got shot, and
Right?
how, and the riots in Baltimore, and Baba Shaka, you said you looked out on Gay Street out your window. It was on fire. It was hot. You
Yeah, it
know,
was every time I looked out the window, I could see smoke. And
isn't
like
that
I had
something?
said, with the church background and being that young, I was like 10, probably 10 years old, 9 or 10.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, because I came up in the church, and I'm like, this what they talking about when they say the world gonna burn up, because everywhere.
No, the world is still here. but which is so ironic is I got on my bike to ride today, and I went towards the Greyhound station where
Right.
in the- it's a huge fire over here.
I saw that when I went on your page. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got to be at least 7 to 8 alarm, huge fire. And
Hmm.
as in Southwest Baltimore, there has been a rash of fires.
Yep.
This is less than a mile away from where the firefighters died in the house.
Right.
There was a fire just last week in a factory over here. I think there's an arsonist in this city. I can't say if there is or not. I don't think they want to say, but it's been a lot of fires in Baltimore City in the last month. If you look
I
around and
think
see,
I think it's
it's a
insurance.
problem.
I think it's insurance because the property is vacant and whatnot. And then if you just keep leaving it there, then you don't get no money for it,
But
and you burn it
this
down,
is
and
not
then
a vacant
developers
property I
come in.
saw today. This is a factory. This
Yeah.
is an industrial area. It's not. This wasn't a vacant property. I ride past
Okay.
it all the time, and so it wasn't. I don't know if it was vacant, but I know it's not usually vacant. That area is an industrial area. It's a good place to start a fire because the train tracks ain't no cameras. You can get
Right.
out of
I
there
know what
really.
you're talking about.
Yeah, White Comico and Bayard. You can get out of there
Right.
really quick. And so
Mm-hmm.
I saw that today. And then I left that, went around the park a little. I'm just giving y'all my day because it shook me up. So I came up McHenry on my bike, and the ambulance is beating me down the street. So we get to the
Right.
end of the street, and it's two dead people. Two
Mm.
ambulances. They pull them. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It was just so hard to see them picking up somebody. They don't even know life support. They just pick them up, cover them. It's like they were dead. It's like a piece of meat. Just put them on the thing
Yeah.
and put them in the ambulance. I mean, this is hard to see, and the whole community is out, and the cops are angry, pushing everybody out the way. There's a
Yeah.
lot of dissension going on in Baltimore. It's a lot of hurt here, from what I saw today, and the people fussing with the cops, and white people, they can really fuss. They're not scared. So they're fussing
When
and
you entitled, you won't be.
yeah, they're cursing
They
cops
got a
out.
cut card.
Yeah, they don't give them no cut cards. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, the psychosis of what's going on in Baltimore is very scary. And it brought me back to you got our conversation this morning, how you felt during the riots after King was killed. And
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore has a lot of stuff going on. From you guys being here for at least 30, 40 years, what do you think of the state of Baltimore right now? Brother Baba James, what do you think?
Personally, the fact that we survived through all this pain tells us a big story about who we are.
That's true.
You just can't kill us. You just can't kill us. I mean, plain and simple, you just can't kill us. We're one of the only group of people that didn't hijack their food. You can't eat nothing. Nothing's healthy to eat. You go in the counties, they got organic this, organic that. You go up Park Heights, they got cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So, that just lets you know.
I love it.
It's just the way they do us, you know what I mean? So, if we could just get 20% of our people to agree and move in the same direction, they couldn't stop us.
I
I
agree.
mean,
They couldn't stop us.
it's really hard to see, Babas. I mean, the people are so angry and hurt. It's a psychosis when all you hear is sirens. You look at the news, all you hear is killing. You eating trash. You see trash around your neighborhood. Is nothing but vacant buildings. Baltimore has to do better.
Small example.
It
Go ahead,
always
go ahead.
was. It wasn't always like this. Like I was saying earlier, like Baltimore has always been predominantly black, even during, prior to the Civil War. It's always Baltimore had 900 some thousand people in Baltimore. That's almost 1 million people was in this little 92 square miles or whatever it is
Yeah.
of land, and it's always been predominantly black.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the 1970 census. And now they say it's like 600 some thousand people in Baltimore.
Yep.
It's still supposed to be predominantly black, but I don't think it's like 70% or anything
No,
like
it's
that.
63%. It's like
Yeah.
62.8% black.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I looked the other day and I saw something and somebody said the same thing, and I looked a little further down, and that was the 2020 census. It was 60 some percent, but now it's down to 58 as of the last census.
I can believe it. And I think COVID had a lot to do with the last census. It's scary,
Yeah,
it's scary that it ended on a year where people couldn't even go outside. But anyway, you're right.
yeah, but yeah, like I'm saying, Baltimore has always been a very important, all kind of historical first. The B&O Railroad, the first train, railroad in the country.
Yep.
Uh,
Mhm.
the first umbrella factory in the country.
Really?
I mean, I don't know about people know what a Ouija board is, but the person that invented that contraption,
Mhm.
that's Baltimore.
Yeah, that
And
sounds like it's some old magic.
That's what
yeah,
it is.
Come on, the Ouija
Get
board. That
rich
sounds
quick
about right.
scheme.
That fits Baltimore. Yes.
yeah,
But
Wow.
look at all the celebrities that came out of this town.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cab Calloway used to live right there on Druid Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Cab Calloway or Howard Rollins used to live up there on North Avenue.
Wow.
Right. Chick
And
Ware.
they in the pit of where it's happening. They come out
Yeah.
of the neighborhoods where back in the middle 60s, late 60s, early 70s, Pennsylvania Avenue was the place to be. You could
Yeah.
see Red Fox just as regular as I could see Hannibal Hill right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Red Fox used to own part owner of damn rubber shoe store.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
A lot of people don't know that.
But where can I?
Yeah.
I don't know where was Dan Brothers shoe store? Was that
The
where was that?
South Baltimore, outside the window where the fire was at, down
Oh,
in Gay Street.
Yeah.
You
okay,
sure was.
okay,
Yep.
okay. This is what I want to hear. I want to hear history because when I came to Baltimore, guys, it was 1990, 89, 90.
Oh,
Right.
And
that's good.
yeah, I came to college. And Baltimore was not, it wasn't a great city, but it was not it did not have this many murders. DC
Right,
was the
right,
murder.
right.
That's when DC was the murder capital of the country. And it was horrible in DC. But Baltimore was different. It was still a relatively city, but still relatively slow. It didn't have what's going on now is scary in a lot of ways. What we see is a lot of chaos. It's still a beautiful city, but it's a lot going on in Baltimore as of today. I don't know how it's going to turn the corner, but it's not going to be more policing. It's not going to be the way that they're approaching it. We got to look, and all these schools they keep closing. They got to do something different.
You got to change people's mind and their heart. You can get 5,000 more police, and that will not stop crime.
You
If
sure
I
won't.
if I walk out the house today and say James owe me $10 and I'm gonna bust him upside the head with a baseball bat, the police is not going to know that, and they're not going to catch me until after I do
Yeah,
And
yeah,
still might not catch you then. And
it.
still might not. And the reason why I said that, I just seen a news broadcast where they was bringing up how the brother back in the early 80s put that Stop Snitching DVD
Right.
out. Now,
Yeah.
they just had it on news, and they were talking about Harrison was saying how everybody should be willing to step up and help us out. And then somebody mentioned that one question I always wanted to ask.
What's
You
that?
trying to get everybody else to tell on people, but your own police force won't tell on each other.
That's right.
let's talk about the blue wall. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. They gonna cover each other's butts.
All
What
day.
they do? Didn't they
So
put a
so
rat
so
on
what's
the
wrong
dude's
with
car?
it? That's right.
That's right.
They
You
put a
You know,
rat on the policeman car when he came forward
right,
telling him
right,
that they
right,
were
right,
selling
right,
heroin.
right. And
and
I
that's
still
what I'm
believe they
saying.
did it.
Yeah. And I so agree with you. I think the biggest thing is what the city is expecting from the citizens, the
They
city is
won't do
doing.
for themselves.
They won't do for the city won't keep
That's right.
you won't keep the environment clean, the water's not clean, the streets are not clean. You let these vacant homes, they're everywhere, but you expect the citizens to do something different. You cannot be the power structure and you not doing that. Expect the citizens to do it. That's what I'm saying.
And Baltimore wasn't always like that. Like I was saying, when we were coming up, we had 4 sports franchise here: the Bullets, the Clippers, the hockey team, the Orioles, the baseball team, the Colts, the football team. You
And the
had
soccer
boxing
team.
going on. You had a soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back to those Baltimore first, the first black person that was allowed to get a championship belt in boxing before Jack Johnson, before Joe Louis, before all of them guys is somebody from Baltimore named Joe Gans.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm.
Baltimore is full of firsts.
Full of first. And not only that, unfortunately, most of the programs that has been set up for oppression started in Baltimore City.
Yeah,
Redlining,
right.
all of the issues that we see that is still proliferating. They use all over the country. Baltimore was a test market.
The Supreme Court guy, Joe, what was his name? Something Tanny or whatever. The Dred Scott decision.
Oh yeah,
That
the Judge Joe Taney.
right. He the one. That's Baltimore. That we say the white man don't. I mean, the black person don't have no rights that the white man is due to respect.
That happened here. Absolutely.
That's, you know,
Yep.
the high school I went to, Mervo, which is named after a German immigrant, Mergenthaler. He invented some kind of typesetting thing that revolutionized the paper typesetting type industry, the newspaper and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this place,
printing.
yeah, printing. You know, this place is just full of firsts.
Wow, you guys know a lot of. That's why I had to have you on, because a lot of us don't know this history. We're not privy to the history because a lot of us weren't here, and when we go to school, they don't teach us nothing. Let's be clear. We learn, our kids ain't learning nothing.
That's right.
And
That's
all of
one
these
thing.
schools that were named after black people, they've closed. Malcolm X, Martin,
Yeah.
they've closed all of these schools. And so, unfortunately, you don't even go to a school anymore that's named after a black leader.
We still got Dunbar, and Douglas, but that's just a few. I mean, the school you went to, Morgan was what they call a normal school before it came to be a college. You know, but that's where people went, and they called black schools normal school number 1 and girls normal school number 2.
Really? I didn't know that. I know it was a divinity school, a theology school when it first started.
Yeah. Well, look up the history of Morgan. It was a black normal school that went on to materialize into what's Morgan now.
Wow.
Morgan got a bunch of different locations from where it is now.
Oh,
That's not the original. That's not the original site.
Oh, I didn't know that neither. Wow.
Taking it down the road.
Yeah, you're teaching me something. But yeah, because I really want to hear about, because I know Baltimore is a great city, and what we see and what's going on in Baltimore now is not Baltimore. This is somebody else pushing the buttons, and I don't like these buttons ain't they shitty. Excuse my language.
At one time, Baltimore, we had and I'm sure this was a first. It probably was nowhere in the world, let alone in the country. But you had so many square blocks all in the same area where you could go from kindergarten all the way to college. And that's where Dunbar, Sojourner Douglas, the elementary school, the preschool, all of that was right there in like a couple square city blocks.
So you can walk to all your educational institutions.
I mean, you could go to elementary school and then go to junior high school, go to Dunbar High School, and then go to the college.
Wow.
You had all them. That whole thing was right there.
Yep, and it's not that anymore. It is. And Sojourner Douglas, it's still open? Isn't that closed now?
No, that went the way of the dinosaurs, but
lost that too. All right. Well, we got some history out, but I want to hear this. We came together tonight to talk about Park Vibe. I want to hear particularly like, how did this thing start? When did it start? And Are any of the people who started, are there any of those people alive or?
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Okay.
And I'm gonna call their names out right now.
Let's do it.
Baba Benjamin,
I remember him.
Baba Cocky McQueen.
Definitely remember him.
Those two names right there really signifies the beginning. Baba Cocky McQueen, he was the oldest, 78 when he passed.
Yeah.
78 when he passed. Now, there's a certain, no matter where you at, no matter what city you in or whatever the case may be, there's a certain energy that goes throughout the city that everybody feels, whether it be good, whether it be bad. So you figure coming out in 68 when we first started, that was Martin Luther King was assassinated in April. The same time that we would have been going to the park. So with that being said, you had the war. You had people still talking about fresh in their mind about Martin Luther King, and you had Woodstock. All of that was at the height of the peace power movement.
Okay.
Through all cultures, though.
Okay.
See, it was that time where everybody was tired of the war, and those that was mad because Martin Luther King got assassinated. You had all those spirits trying to find a way to sing Kumbaya together. That's what it was. That's what it was. So there was drum circles spread all around the city, but that park was the hub for anybody that knew anything about drumming. Now, back then, it wasn't so plush as it is now. You know, everybody got cars and things like that. Back then, we was carrying them drums. Wow. We might walk 20 blocks with them drums.
Really?
And if you got 2 or 3 drums, can you imagine that picture? You know, some of the brothers that's been in the circle, I came in 71. I was 16. I was 16 when I came in that drum circle. But I gotta tell you, half of the drum circle got together by word of mouth. The other half stumbled up on it like I did.
Well, let me ask a question. Was it a healing circle? What was the reasoning?
The reasoning was everybody was tired of the war syndrome. You had the war going on. You had a Martin Luther King assassination, and you had all these things put together, which brought about a time where we was literally tired of hearing bad news, and people was trying to find places to congregate where they could get that peace.
Let me say something, James.
Go ahead.
Being in the Marine Corps, I found out that no matter where I went in the world, basically, even when I was in Okinawa, Japan, some brothers would gravitate toward each other, and we might not have a whole bunch of instruments, but everywhere I've been in an urban setting, Charleston, South Carolina, Washington, D.C., California, there's always a drum circle in every one of them cities on a Saturday or a Sunday. Black folks get together and vibe and jam and go back home to Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
That's our pulse. We're music and energy. That's our pulse.
In our blood.
It's in our bloodline, for sure. For sure. And so the drum circle was a place where people could be themselves and heal, and it was healing, and it was community.
And And then we started considering it our church.
Ooh,
so all the things we went through, all we went through for 6 days, we was gonna beat it out on Sunday.
Look,
and it was like we used to treat the drum circle like a car.
That's what
you drive your car all week, and then you go to the gas station on Sunday for the next week.
That's what it was.
That drum circle was out.
that's what it was for me, you know, being a correctional officer. I could
Uh-huh.
put up I could put up with that madness going to work in the prison, but if I could get out to the park on Sunday, it was like it'd carry me to the next time I get to the park.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. That's what it was.
And so did people come out to see you guys? Was it an affair for everybody or it was just
It was, let me tell you something, Queen. This is the one thing, whenever I tell this story, I just wish the people that hear it could actually see it. Let me tell you, as far as you could see in that park,
wow.
there was people.
Uh,
And then you got to realize this. Right now, if I can get all the drummers together, we might have 35, 40 drummers out there. Back then, it was 100 drummers.
whoa.
It was 100 drummers, and it might have been, they wasn't separate circles. It was just, you might have 30 drummers here and 20 over there, but they might be 15 feet apart
Mm.
because it was so many people. It was so many people. And then we would be out there from 12 o'clock to probably 12 o'clock at night. If you ain't never heard nothing that sound as good as night drumming, if you was
Yeah.
outside the park, you sound like you was in South Soweto, South Africa somewhere.
Whoa.
And it'd be rumbling like that. It'd be rumbling. Man, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you was a crack addict. I don't care if you was a wino. Once you heard them drums, you snapped out of it. If it wasn't no more than 20 minutes, you snapped out of
Come up out of
it.
it,
You came back home.
Well,
I used to love it.
Wow.
well, you know that when they brought us over here, that was one of the things that they denied us because they knew the power of the drumming in our music. Our
Mm-hmm.
music got power in it. Our people don't realize, they realize it, but our people don't realize the power of music. And
Yeah.
that's why this garbage that they play now that
Hey,
everybody
hey, hey,
buys,
hey, hey, hey.
that's why
Uh-oh.
the that's
Baba,
why these
IshaKa, you can't call it garbage.
There you go. There you go.
Come
come on.
on, you can't call it
I
garbage.
mean,
It's
we
what
are
they relate to. It's what they
when
relate to.
when you listen
It's
to music that's talking about shooting and killing all day long,
Yes.
and you smoking and drinking and popping all kind of pills and whatever, you cannot expect the behavior to be anything other than this barbaric behavior that we have in all our major metropolitan areas. You
Well, can
can't
I
but
say
this is
something?
this is their
can't
time though.
expect nothing else.
Yeah, but can I say something?
Go
And
for it.
music emulates society. And we have to be clear is that what you see in music, just like years ago, my mom said, they said the music from that you guys grew up with was the devil. Her mother said that.
Yeah.
Her grandmother said that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because music emulates society and what's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at people who music is really a truth serum because it
That's what
Yeah.
really,
it
really
is.
shows you what's going on in society. So we might call it garbage, but are we calling our society garbage? Because music emulates what people are experiencing.
I will say
Small.
this.
It's
Let me
it's the
say this.
truth.
When I was in DC, I was stationed there and I go to Marcus Garvey Day and African Liberation Day and stuff like that. And one day I didn't know nothing about this group, but everybody, different politicians, different speakers would come up on the stage, and then one group would play, and people shake and dance a little bit. And every time they was like intermission, they was getting ready to set up for somebody else. The whole crowd and WHUR would always cover this event. I think it was Malcolm X Day down at Anacostia Park, and they would say that it was like 10,000 people down there. Now, they would in between sessions when somebody else was setting up or another speaker just got off the stage, 99% of that crowd would be saying EU, EU, EU for the go-go group
Yeah,
Experience
EU.
Unlimited.
Yep.
When they got on the stage, everybody could sing the songs with them and move a certain way. And at that point, that was the realization to me of the power of music. I've been to church and seen people shout and stomp and fall out and all that. I seen people play drums and stuff and we dance. But that was the realization of the power of music. Even being in the Marine Corps and being a military mind, they used to march to war and play drums and flutes and stuff, you know, to get the spirit to a certain range. Music dictates your sense of mind, your spirit. And all those people down there, that's like 10,000 people. And at the time, I say, man, this band right here, I don't know who they are, but they could tell these people we going to the White House. You know, we going. They could lead these people like and tear up stuff, you know, because they had that power over that crowd.
They love that
And
music. And so
yeah,
that's but the question, Robert IshaKa, does music emulate society? And we call young people's music garbage, but this is what they are experiencing. This is what they're living. Not
This is
all
where
of
they
it.
live at. That's
This is
right.
what they
That's
live
right.
in. So we got to
That's
look
what they
at
live.
what are we going to do about what they're experiencing so music can change.
yeah, that's the key. Well, like I say, you got to change people's mind, because
Yeah, that's true.
if you don't see nothing coming out the door every day and you don't have no hope, even though we got more technology now that could show you all the role models in the world, it just is a whole different thing. The things that they fall for, that when we came up, they didn't say don't do drugs. They didn't tell us not to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. They advertised it on television. I remember my uncle gave me my first taste of beer, and I was programmed from watching all the sports on television, and all the sports, you know, drinking beer was a manly thing. Smoking a cigarette, that's manly, masculine. So when he gave me a taste of beer, it was so nasty to me, and I was like, I ain't gonna never be a man if I gotta drink this. You know? But you coming up now, and you don't have that. I mean, you got presidents' wives saying say no to drugs, and every time you say no to drugs, it's like 100 more people sign up.
Yeah, but the problem is not the drug. The problem is
It's
people
not.
is the trauma. We're
It's the
looking,
environment.
yeah,
It's the
we're looking,
environment that you're in. You
it's
are
the
you are
trauma.
prone to follow that path. If
It's
you
Yeah,
only see drugs, then that's what you're gonna be doing, selling it or using it.
that's true.
It's
I,
plain and simple.
I agree.
Let me get this in. Pass the dice. Now,
Yeah,
now the way music changes things, you take the era when we was coming up. If you had relationship issues, what did you do? You got your 5 or 6 CDs or records that put you in the boohoo state. You closed the door, you played that music, you got it up out of your spirit. When you open that door, you was ready to start another relationship.
yep.
Nowadays,
They kill him. They kill him. They
nowadays,
killing me.
I'm gonna kill her. If you ain't with me, ain't nobody gonna be with me.
You gonna
And
die.
that's just the way they doing it. That's just the way.
Yeah,
It's the era that you in.
That's right.
You gonna be a product of what you surrounded by.
That's so true.
It's plain and simple. I don't care if you think you got control over it. You got to be a certain person to be able to be in that environment and not get caught,
Yeah.
not get caught up. Even if you make it out with some kind of sanity,
It's
some
true.
of that stuff is still gonna rub off on you. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely. That is so true.
I
And
don't care who you are.
that is so
yeah,
true. And also, if you really look at it, the breakdown of people starts with the breakdown of the family,
exactly.
the breakdown
That's right.
you break down the community, and then
Mm-hmm.
you change the households. You put women at the head of them. You know,
Uh-huh.
you attack Black men. So all
That's
of
right.
this comes together to help to hurt young people. And then now we see you throw drugs into that, and people are hurting. So when people are traumatized, they look for ways to get away from that trauma. A lot of time that is medicating. You medicate on
That's
drugs.
right.
You
That's
medicate.
it.
Right.
What it is.
So we
That's
look
what
at
it is.
we look at what our young people are doing so early. Imagine at 20, you so hurt that you need drugs to get through your day. Something is
Mm-hmm.
wrong with
We
society.
got to get them to the park so we can give them that mellow jams, you know, that drums and the music.
That's just one thing. But like I told you, Queen, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick to this, and I ain't never gonna change my mind. How do you get them there, Queen?
Food
Food and music.
and music.
Once you get them there, you can tell them anything you want. You'll gotta have their attention. You'll have it for whatever long the food and music lasts.
Food and music. You're right.
I mean, it's just a fact.
That's a fact.
In most cultures.
Yes.
It's the way to get them there.
It's the way.
If you say you having an event, and there's no food, no music, just somebody talking. We'll see how that works.
Yeah.
Well, James,
it ain't gonna be successful. Huh?
When you remember when we were coming up, they had the Operation Champ, and they would come up with
Operation Champ,
almost like a semi-tractor trailer, throw down the side of it, and it'd be a band, and they block off the street, and we get our groove on right there. You know, Jimmy Bristol, Little Beavers, the soft tones. You know,
but it was still that time where we was in a different zone. We was in a different mindset. See, back then when we was coming up, you couldn't find a neighborhood that didn't have 4 or 5 singing groups in it.
Right.
Baltimore was turning out some singers, man. We had some singers in this town. Wow. You know, we had the music industry. You know, you had roller skating. You know, you had all these things that we used to do on the regular.
Yeah.
You try to go in one of these neighborhoods now and try to get these guys. I used to use this analogy. I say, if you want to stop, get their minds off of drugs, take a ping pong table, take the worst neighborhood, put that ping pong table in the middle of the street, and I guarantee you, they're gonna be running up there. Y'all can't beat me, twisting that paddle in their hand.
Right.
And for that moment, they ain't thinking about selling no drugs. They thinking about being the best on that ping pong table.
How long that's gonna last though?
But
I don't know if that's gonna last long.
It's just some of the things.
That's the idea.
But you gotta remember this. You gotta remember this. Baltimoreans are challenging city. We take all challenges. I don't care if it's on the basketball court, the ping pong table, whatever it is. But if you put something out there that they recognize, oh, you don't know nothing about this, boy. You don't know nothing about this. Yeah. Then they're going to be out there for a minute.
I would love to see it, but we got techno kids now. They play video games, and you know what the video games is?
Okay, so you do what they do. You go out there, you put that machine, whatever they use to make the music and sounds and all that. Another thing you can add to that list of how to get kids together. Dancing.
Yeah.
If you got them somewhere where they can put on a dance group, they're gonna be with it.
Yeah.
They're definitely gonna be with it.
We gotta find ways to bring them out of what they're in, and so they can see differently. I don't know what it's gonna be, but we have to find ways to change the city. They're standing on the corners, and the idle mind is the devil's workshop. And we see it.
Yeah, but you got a 12-year-old in this day and time. It's like a 30-year-old.
Yes, sir.
When I was coming up, a woman at 21 still ain't know nothing.
Not no more.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So you got to look at all those things, forces that's going against you.
Yeah.
You in 2022, and then you got kids that's 12 years old. They can tell you more about body parts and whatever else you want to know than you ever knew.
That's true. And technology is that thing. It is giving them
access to everything.
You know, when I was young, if my mom said something to me, I had no way of disproving it. You know, the encyclopedia wouldn't tell me. You know, I had no way. You know what I'm saying? I had no way. Now they can go to Google, and whatever you tell them or you don't tell them, they can find out. YouTube, you know, technology is infused our young people into the access that we didn't have. So we got to find a way to bring them in. I don't know what the answer is, but what I saw those 2 young people being loaded today in the ambulance, something has to happen.
Well, I say they give us smartphones, but they make us dumber.
That's it.
They're plain and simple. Who uses a pencil nowadays? When the last time you wrote a letter?
Let me tell you, right? You get a pencil, be like looking at what you got a pencil.
You know, nobody writes no more. None of that. You know, and as far as the school's concerned, if you want to get the kids interested in school, the one thing they took out that gave you a break from thinking was music.
Yeah.
See, when we had music in school, you did 4 or 5 classes, then you had that break, you went to lunch, and right after lunch, couldn't wait to go to music class. You go to music class for whatever time in there, then your mind is off the books.
Yes.
And then you freeing up some space.
Yeah.
Then you can go back to class after that, because usually if you went back to class after music, you had 2 more classes, it was time to go home.
Yeah. You can easily reset. They don't let children
Right.
reset.
You don't have no reset time. If you're going to be constantly in there all day long, you're going to be in the back sleep or whatever you're going to be doing. You know, it's just, you know, they need to put back some of the things they took away.
Yeah, they do. They do.
That's
and I think some of the things they did take away, it was by design.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It's like, we first have to realize that, I mean, anybody with an analytical mind is like, okay, if I do this, I do this, I do this, and this is the result. And it's a good result. So I keep doing this. So if I take it away and then you get bad results and you leave it taken away, then it was by design. You meant for it to be bad. All the things that kept me and James out of trouble in our time frame, recreation centers, everybody had recreation centers all over. You could go to some of the recreation centers, you could play basketball in some of the schools. I used to play ball up 85, 27, different schools you could go in, they open up the gym, you play basketball. Anybody in their right mind knows, like you said, idle hands is the devil workshop. Even in the Marine Corps, they have a saying about if you don't keep a Marine busy, a certain rank, you know, like E3 and down to private, E3 and down to E1. If they not busy, if we don't keep them busy and tired, they will get in trouble. And that's grown men. That's 18, 19, 20-year-old men that you know in the Marine Corps, you keep them busy. Take them out to the field and give them exercise, do this, go on some field maneuvers, keep them away from town, because if they get too much time on their hand, they go out in town and get drunk and tear up stuff. You know, so I mean, that's just
in a disciplined environment. Imagine the hood,
right?
So if you in the hood and the only thing you know is Little Boosty down the street and King Creole on the right and Bootsy on the left, and it's not a lot of choices. It's not a lot of choices.
It isn't.
It ain't a lot of choices.
And that's why exposure to is important. Like, you got to expose young people. A lot of them stay just on their corner. They stay just in their hood. They don't even come to the West Side. Not even leave Maryland, but they don't even come out of Baltimore to the West Side or the East Side. We gotta have some exposure, different experiences.
John Hopkins is the expert on rats, right? And if you research it, John Hopkins says that a rat won't go like a mile outside of where they was born. And people in Baltimore are the same way. I had relatives. My family, we would leave East Baltimore and go on the West Side and visit people on a regular basis. None of those people on the West Side would come to the East Side and visit us. But John Hopkins says that they could take a rat from East Baltimore and look at their DNA and know that the rat was from East Baltimore, and they can look at the DNA and know that the rat was from West Baltimore because of the environment, the food, whatever. They know that the rat is never, East Baltimore rat is never going to cross the Jones Falls Expressway and go west. It ain't never going to be in South Baltimore. It's going to stay right in East Baltimore within a certain block radius.
Wow.
And people in Baltimore are the same way.
So they said we rats.
No, they not. Just
they not saying it, but they saying it. But you know what?
I used to get all over Baltimore, but the average person in my neighborhood, outside of going to school, church, go down Gay Street maybe to do some shopping, but most of the people in my neighborhood would never even go as far as Gay Street. They would go to Minor Street.
Wow.
They would go to Gay Street for shopping. Me, I always got off. I used to tell people, I say, I've been ramped out of the best neighborhoods in Baltimore. Because I never been just an East Baltimore person. I went all over the city. You know, I used to go I used
I've
to
been
have
trying to keep still. You're moving too much.
yeah, I used to have like recreation center cards, like you flip out your wallet and got credit cards. You know, I had
It's
a
so
whole
sad.
bunch
The
of them.
kids don't have rec centers.
I know.
They don't have those outlets. It's really awful. It's really awful. So let me ask you a question. Park vibe. Let's get back because we cannot
Yeah,
solve what's going on with young people, but we can talk about it. But we definitely can't solve it.
Right.
But in this night, but the park vibe, I really want to get back to that and kind of understand like what is it doing now? We're in 2022.
Okay, let me do it this way. Them brothers that I came under, Brother Binyam, Brother Cocky and them brothers that I came under, I learned a lot at that drum circle at a young age, at a very young age. And probably the middle 80s, early 90s is when a lot of them, when Brother Binyam and a few other brothers, too many to name, had passed on. By the middle 90s, I had come to a realization that this thing we call the Park Vibe Drum Circle is real. Because it kept me out of trouble and it changed a whole lot of other brothers. I'm talking about, when I say changed, I'm talking about drastic stuff, drastic changes, where we felt an obligation to the drum circle as opposed to an obligation to some bullshit. That's right. And so the last, I'm speeding it up a little bit. I gotta say the last 20 years, a lot of the brothers that I was under have passed already. The last 20 years, most of the brothers that came in when I came in were still here. The last 3 years, most of them has passed.
Wow.
The last 3 years, just last, when I talk about the last 3 years, we talking about brothers that I've been knowing 50 plus years and 40 plus years. We talk every day.
Wow.
We had a better relationship with the drummers than we had with our own biological family because we was around them for all the time. All the time. You know, we got family members that, know what we do. You got some that come out there and some that just don't. I mean, and that's fine. But it ain't going to change what we feel about that drum circle. We learned a lot of culture from that drum circle and things. So the last 20 years, I said, in honor and paying homage to those that I come under, I must do some things. See, I learned one thing, with no change, no growth.
Right.
If nothing ain't changing, it ain't no growing. So the first thing, and you would have thought this stuff would have popped up way ahead of time. But it started with the Park Vibe drum page. I said, we Park Vibe drummers and no page. All right, let me put that out there. That's the first thing, effort. Then I say, we got to be more than drummers. We got to be a give back entity. So we had the book fairs for the children. We figured that children, when they get out of school in the summertime, they don't retain the information that they learned prior the year before. When we was coming up, we had library cards. We was reading in the summertime. So I said, we're going to have book fairs for the children. We started the book fairs for the kids. But the clicker was, we would give away free books, but we would have authors there. The thing that made the kids excited was the authors was children. They was children. So the children coming to see children that write books.
Wow. Now that I like that.
The last book fair we had Professor Griff. You know who that is?
The man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Professor Griff brought a group of kids down. And these kids was phenomenal. They were rappers, but they was cultured rappers. But they was on point. They was on point. They was doing their thing. And that's just one of the things we would do. Then we would have the Park Vibe celebration every year. Every one of the members' birthday, I would have it set up for them to be celebrated. Because we all need to be celebrated at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every person, acknowledgement will go a long way. I don't care if you just call somebody and say happy born day. You took the time to think about the person to deliver that message. Mm-hmm. You know, and when we acknowledge each other, it just goes so much further. You know, a lot of times we'd be at the jump circle and I'd be seeing things. You know, for almost the whole time I've been at the jump circle, whenever I drum, I think about the first day I was there.
Yeah.
I always go back to that. I sit in the same spot and I look at the same spot on that tree and I just go there. Mm. And I'm back when I was 16.
Wow.
Every time.
So let me ask a question to you guys. So are there going to be 16-year-olds who will be able with a drug? What's the vitality of the drug circle?
Okay, I've been recruiting as many people as I can. I'm trying to get more of the brothers to do the same thing. You know, that ain't no shade against them, but it is what it is. Y'all need to step your game up and start bringing them in like I do.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's the only way it's going to last.
Die out in our community. You know, we don't want things like that to die out in our community.
Right. And to add to that, what I want done before I leave this earth, because we all gonna get that call or believe that. What I want done is the spot that we're in right now drumming, I want them to put a history of the Park Vibe drummers plaque in that space. And I want them to give us that space only on Sundays for as long as Park Vibe exists.
Okay.
That's doable.
Yeah.
Well, you better do it before they finish. You better get on it because they're doing it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Adjacent to the space that we drumming in, there's a pavilion. Now, we all know that Druid Park is in the Black community, but there's no pavilion that says Black. I want them to change the name of that pavilion to the African Village. Mm. And all that's going to take is a cheap sign and some paint.
Right. Why they didn't do it then?
No, I'm still working on it, you know, and I didn't have politicians and all of them get in my face. Prayerfully, they watching this because they know who they are. When they sit there and they look you dead in your eyes, say, brother, you ain't got to worry about it. I know who you are. I got you. I felt like one of the drug dealers on the corner. When a guy say, man, I'm ill. Can you help me? He say, right there. I got you. I feel the same way.
Well,
no show up.
That's politicians. That's
yeah, you know, and I really gonna take this time to actually say their name, but I ain't gonna do that today. I'm gonna be lenient today.
Why?
I really
Tell me why? Why you being lenient?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah, because I really moving right along. I'm really itching. But anyway, I just really want to see if I could get those two things done, really, at the point where I'm at in my life, it would be real rewarding and real satisfying to know that I did all I could do to add to the growth. Because I figured the last 20 years, a lot of things wasn't happening. You know, I'm like, man, we've been together this long, but we don't look the same. So I started doing these t-shirts. Yeah. At least everybody can look like we together.
Yeah.
You know, when you come to the drum circle and you see everybody report by drum t-shirts, oh, there they go. Okay. You know, I think 65, I might be underguessing this, but I almost guarantee that 65% of the people in Baltimore know who the Park Vibe drummers are. And then you got to look at the brothers that's been in the drum circle that they moved on. We got brothers in Atlanta and all them. Them brothers show up every summer. They call Park Vibe drummer space their home base.
That's interesting. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know, we got brothers that come from Atlanta and all them places and make it a stop to stop at that drum circle.
that's interesting that you have that type of culture in your community, and people recognize it even when they leave. They come back. What I'm
Right,
saying.
right, 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 right,
It's
right, right.
very interesting. Baba IshaKa, let me ask you a question. What got you to the drum circle? What made you become a drummer?
Well, Stevie Wonder, this blows everybody's mind. Stevie Wonder got me. See, for a long time, I thought Stevie Wonder was a revolutionary. I mean, back when I was young, I went to the first Human Kindness Festival back in '72. Yeah, Human Kindness Day over in DC. And that was my reason for even doing anything. You know, he kind of put me on the path of wanting to know more about culture and things of that nature. Don't ask me why I had to be Stevie, but it was Stevie.
Okay.
And, you know, it just got to me to that point, you
Okay.
know, and then so
you saying
yeah. And,
let's hear about Baba. Baba, what Baba IshaKa, what got you to drumming? What was your reason to drum?
Well, I'm gonna do this as quick as I can, but when I was growing up, little boys wanted to play drums. We beat on everything. My mother got me a set of drums. It was like paper. Once they was busted up, that was it for drums. Fast forward all the way to me being stationed down in Charleston, South Carolina, and a lady friend. We went somewhere in North Carolina. It was called a Kaumba Festival, and she sang with a gospel choir, and they sang, and that was okay. And then some people came out there with some African outfits on, shakerays and djembes. That was the first time I ever seen those African drums. I had seen drums and I had seen African dance in school and whatnot, stuff like that. But once I saw those djembes, I was sold. And when I got out the Marine Corps, that's one of the first things I did. I found my way. I don't know who introduced me to the park vibe, how I found my way out there, but somebody in the community got me out there. I think it was Brother Don. Remember Don Rice?
it probably was Don. It probably was Don.
I think it was him, but I'm not sure. But once I got out there and then I seen all those drums and heard them again, it hit something in me again. And it's like I had already seen them on the stage like years before with the whole African drum troupe and the dancing and everything. And I say, I must have one of those and I will learn to play that. That is it. And I've been doing my best to master that thing ever since. But
you doing all right. You doing all right. You're getting better. You're getting better.
Just brought something out of me. And every now and then people will tell me when they hear me play, they say, yeah, I see some improvement. Cocky used to always tell me I could play with Cocky. Anything Cocky play, I could vibe with him. Barbara Ross Marcus, he could play something, I could vibe with him. Certain people I could automatically, they play something and I get right in it. And Cocky used to blow me away because he would tell me to start something, and I looked at him like, me start something?
And that's that shyness that come with you and Troy and a couple other brothers. They don't want to start nothing. They'll sit there and look at you and say, go ahead, hit something. Let me get with it.
Because we know it's people that's so much better than us. I never had no formal training or nothing, Yeah. I don't know nothing about music as far as notes go or any of that. I can't read music. You say a B flat or you say, y'all used to trip me out because they'll say, let's do a 5-5 or 4-4.
8-8, 8-4-8.
And I look at y'all and I'll be like, yeah, okay, all right, I'll figure it out when I get there.
I love this. I love this. I love it.
Hey, that's Sister Queen.
What's that?
The other thing that we trying to bring back, which when the weather break may be a good time to do it. Me and you done had this conversation before. We used to have big time chess in the park. Mm-hmm. We had chess in the park every Sunday. And I'm trying to bring that back. Yeah. I'm trying to bring that back, where you come out and play chess because you ain't got a drum. So sometimes people just want to be in that space. Mm-hmm. And you can play chess and hear drumming and they go hand in hand, and it's always good to bring other things that people can participate in, but it's still part of the ingredient that make that space legal.
Yeah.
You know,
It's got
so
to be a safe space. It's a safe space, a place to get away from all the madness.
Yeah.
and we never had problems.
Yeah.
In all of those years, we had that one situation, and I ain't even gonna talk about that, about a person of another color. And this was during the time when white folks were streaking and stuff.
You like to
And
talk
they
in
thought it
code.
was cool, huh?
You like to talk in code. We like to say names and talk about situations out here. You talking too much code.
That ain't no code. That ain't no code. I said
You
people
said
of
the
another
other
color.
color. What's the other color?
Yeah, Caucasian.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, so she came in there, we catching them vibes and all of that. Now, mind you, the drummers are drumming. So everybody else that's there are onlookers, participating in the energy. So she felt a need to do her little peace and flower power move dance. You know that thing they do with their hands and stuff and all that. Yeah. Then she started taking it off.
Oh,
well, you know what? You know what they say.
That wasn't a good idea.
The call of the drum, brother. That call of the drum. It might call you.
Hey, that wasn't a good idea. It wasn't a good idea. And back then, they ain't had no fences around the park. Yeah, it wasn't no fences or none of that around the park, And anyway, that situation fell through, so it caused it a little break. I'm not going to say break where it was no drummers, because there was always going to be. It's never been a time where it was no drummers in the park. But even when we first started, they used to ride horses out there and tell us we was too loud.
The only thing stopped the park is COVID, and that's something.
Yeah, and they really ain't stop it, because we was in the park the last 2 years. But we had that discretion, we had that safe distance and the mask. We had all of that, but we wasn't gonna stop coming to that park.
I get it. Well, listen, we're an hour in, and this has been an amazing conversation. It's such a blessing to source history and to source people who've been here before you and to hear their experiences, and also try to make our Baltimore a better place.
That's right.
So I really appreciate you guys' contribution. The park vibe. When you guys set up in the park, I'm coming through.
I know.
Ain't nothing like the
call. I'll make sure.
Ain't nothing like the call of the drum.
That's right.
I'm going to come through, and I'm going to sit with you brothers, because I know that's going to be an experience that enrich my life. And so I also want to thank the people in the audience. We had Bakaria Tiber, we had David Murphy, and we had the famous, the grandmother Edna.
Yeah,
the most famous person in Baltimore. She with us, and that's what I love. And then we got Sister Trina Gilliam. So I appreciate all you guys who are commenting, and we have this living history here in the BLaK BMore series this month. And I want you guys to leave a jewel with the people, each one of you. So Baba James, you start first. Leave something inspirational with the people. Leave your jewel. Baba J's jewel.
This is going to sound kind of small in a way, but it has a lot of punch to it. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
You better know.
I should.
Yes, it is.
Baba IshaKa, you have the final jewel.
Well, and this isn't an original either. I read this from somebody a long time ago, but it was like a book, and it is that we should learn to live by living to learn.
Wow. I say. I like that.
I like that, brother.
Well, you know how to come up with them, didn't you, son?
Yeah, I got this bag over here. I pulled it out the bag.
You guys really lit it up tonight. And listen, I really appreciate you guys sitting in and contributing to BLaK Box Radio. This is why we do this, because everyone needs a platform. We need to hear from everybody in our community. It is a problem that every time we want a superstar or somebody who we think means something, but everybody means something in the community.
That's right. That's right.
It's important to have you guys come on tonight. I appreciate it. This has been the Baltimore BMore Series. This is our intentional effort to celebrate BLaK history in Baltimore City. So we've had Baba James Ellis, thank you, and we've had Baba IshaKa. I'm not going to mess it up.
IshaKa Hannibal.
There you go, brother. Give it.
I'm gonna get me one of them names. So I need to get some people twisted up.
Look, I just want to add one thing, that you doing this for Black History Month, but we at the next level now. Our story is 365. You can't put it all in 1 month.
You right.
That's right.
I say
That's
that.
Right.
So we boxed up and out black boxes. Can I get a deuces from my bobbers? We gotta get a deuces on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere.
All right.